Today's gospel text comes from the Gospel of John, chapter 10, verses 1 through 10. Hear these good words. Very truly I tell you, Pharisees, anyone who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate, but climbs in by some other way is a thief and a robber. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes on ahead of them, and his sheep follow him because they know his voice. But they will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away from him because they do not recognize a stranger's voice. Jesus used this figure of speech, but the Pharisees did not understand what he was telling them. Therefore, Jesus said again, very truly I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who have come before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep have not listened to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and to kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. Thieves and robbers. As far as I have learned, there are two kinds of thieves and robbers. There's outside thieves and robbers who come in to steal your stuff and to kill and destroy, and there's inside, stuff inside your head. Thieves and robbers. Years ago, I read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Decent book about a guy in Hawaii. He had his biological dad, unfortunately, he was a poor dad. He had a good friend who had rich dad. It is a book about buying and selling real estate, learning about assets and liabilities. You're a homeowner, it's not an asset because you make payments on it. Even if you own your home, it's not an asset because you pay taxes and you pay insurance. Anything that you have to spend money on is a liability. Okay, so great lesson. But I learned a long time ago that I am not a real estate person, nor am I a crafty guy. I don't do plumbing, I don't do carpentry. In fact, I'm horrible at those things. I break it and make it worse, all right? But it's a good book. I learned a lot from it, and many years later, in 2008, I see a thing in the paper saying the Rich Dad, Poor Dad's going to be in Orlando over at the Rosen Hotel on International Drive. I think, well, I've got some time. I'll take my book and maybe he'll sign it. So I'm sitting in the convention center there, and then when it's all time to begin, this 30-ish-year-old woman comes out in a very tight blouse and a tight skirt, short, and high heels. And she's looking pretty hot, and I was feeling, well, okay, maybe she's the warm-up act. And I was starting to feel kind of warm, and I was single at the time, so why not? She started sharing her story with slideshow. And her story was she was married and a mom. Her husband left her. She's a single mom. She had no money, and here's the trailer she was living in. And then, she read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and with no money down, she got a property, and she fixed it up, and she sold it for a profit. And 5 years later, she's independently wealthy, and she's got all these properties and this rental income. I'm thinking, she's not the warm-up act. She is the act. Then it started to shift into kind of like an evangelical crusade. Have you ever been to one of those? How many of you would like to be independently wealthy? No, seriously. How many of you like to be independently wealthy? Woohoo! Hey, woohoo! And Eric started becoming kind of like a pep rally. Right? Let's get the crowd all right. Everybody who has your hand up right now, go to the back of the room. Don't think twice. Don't think twice. Go to the back of the room. For $5,000, we'll sell you the package that will help you become independently wealthy. Don't think twice. I'm thinking, $5,000, I'm going to think twice. And I'm looking at the room. There's about 200 people there. And these were not people of means. It's 2008. I'm thinking some of these people probably have lost their jobs and maybe losing their homes. And lo and behold, I saw people getting up and walking to the back of the room, opening up their billfolds and their wallets and their purses. I'm thinking, I'm going to wait for my exit. All right, good. Yeah, people are making a commitment to change their lives. Now, for $10,000, those of you who are really serious, money-back guarantee for $10,000, you get the same package the 5,000 bronze group get, but for the silver package, you not only get what they're getting, but you get 24/7 access to people on the line like me who will coach you all the way through the process. We guarantee. And so how many of you would like that? Don't think twice. Don't think, get up now. Take charge of your life. Woohoo. And I'd be damned if people weren't getting up and walking back to the table with the credit cards. I think, time for me to go. And as I was leaving out the back door, there was another package. Of course, you had bronze and silver. There had to be a what? And it didn't go up to a $5,000 increment. It went up to $25,000. There is a gold package, $25,000. And it's a money-back guarantee you cannot lose. You get the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He's going to call you himself and coach you through the process. And as I was walking out the door, I thought to myself, isn't it interesting how people get rich off selling people how to get rich? But what were they tapping into? What were they tapping? They were tapping into this human desire of bypass, weren't they? If you want to get rich in this world, there are ways to get rich. But it typically takes years of skills, development, trial and error. Most entrepreneurs have many failures before they have successes. Athletes, we love seeing them out on the field or the court doing what they do, but we don't see all the years that they practiced and they practiced and they practiced and they did the things that they do while their friends were doing other things, you see. Bypass. I am desperate for money now. I am so desperate that I hear somebody tell me what I want to hear, and I go to a place and I'm willing to give up money I don't have because I'm going to bypass the process in order for the possibility, low probability, of getting rich now. Bypass. Thieves and robbers. Well, thank God it doesn't happen in the church, right? It does. Right up the road north of here, there's this religion called seed religion. Now, I know sometimes my southern accent gets a little in the way, so I'm going to spell that for you. S-E-E-D. Seed. Seed religion. I'm not going to call it a theology because it's not a theology. Seed religion. I saw them they did a report on them on one of these news magazines on TV. What that is these preachers live like kings and queens. I'm talking they are making money hand over fist. I mean, they live in mansions and they wear designer clothes. They not only have one red Ferrari, they got a whole garage full of red Ferraris. And this is the religion, right? If you have faith, the Bible says, you put your money out there and God will bring it back to you tenfold. You give God $1,000, God's going to give you back $10,000. You give God $5,000, God's going to give you back $50,000. You give God $10,000, God's going to give you back how much? $100,000. The only thing is that they're not giving the money to God. Who are they giving it to? And the catch is if you've got enough faith. But preacher, I don't have $10,000. What's your credit card limit? Well, if I put it on my credit card, I'd max it out. And that's faith, my friend. You see? You got to have faith to do that. Well, all right. Bah. What are they tapping into? They're tapping into people who are desperate. They're tapping into people who are hearing what they're desperate to hear. And they are willing to try to bypass. And thieves and robbers will exploit it. Now, these people cannot be arrested because they're not actually hacking into their bank accounts and stealing from them. These people are willing to give it to them. But these kinds of people have been selling snake oil for centuries, am I right? Thieves and robbers are going to try to sneak in over the sides of the gate, as Jesus describes it, to bypass the process. And there are plenty of people on this planet who are gullible enough and desperate enough to listen to them and follow them. Now, this woman who came out for this rich dad, poor dad thing, maybe she did get lucky first time out. I don't know. But then again, maybe she's a single mom like the person I'm married to, who was once upon a time. She has replaced the toilet and the garbage disposal in my house. I would have called somebody. Being a single mom, she had to learn to do these things by herself. Maybe this person can do all those things. For me to flip a house, I would have to hire contractors. I would make no money. Besides, any of you who've worked with contractors know it's always going to get done in what? 2 weeks, right? You can't hold the loan that long, right? So, bypass. But the same thing happens with the inside thieves. Oh, see, it's nice when we can blame it on everyone out there. But what about the inside voices, the inside thieves? Yes, they're very real too. Very real as well. What about that part of us that somehow we kind of want to know God, but we don't want to know God that much? We know that God kind of has a history of smoting, but we don't want to get smoked. We've bought into this idea somehow maybe there's a heaven for people who are good and there's a hell for people who are bad. What do I need to do to make sure I don't go to hell? Not necessarily the heaven thing, but I just don't want to go to hell because it's really a nasty place. And it happens for a very long time. So you find yourself a religion that gets you a very clear prescription. You do these 10 things to give your life to Jesus. You say these things, you pray these things, and we get you saved. Once you get yourself saved, you're always saved. And you go straight to heaven when you die. Perfect. Sign me up. Get me saved. You've not bought yourself eternal life. You've not bought yourself a quality of being. What you've bought yourself is insurance. It has nothing to do with spirituality. Jesus in this story says, I am the gate. He's going back on those wonderful story in Exodus where Moses is standing in front of the burning bush. Remember that story? And God is speaking to Moses from the burning bush. Our own Moses demonstrated to us a few weeks ago. And what this burning bush, God's voice is telling Moses to do, to go to Pharaoh, the leader of the most powerful nation in the world, or at least in that region, to go have Moses to release all of his free slave labor and let them go. A daunting task for one who is a fugitive from Egypt for murder, don't you think? So Moses is wanting some leverage. Who do I say sends me? In the Hebrew tradition, to know the name of someone or something is to have control over them. So God says, tell them, I am sent you. So Jesus says, I am the gate. And anyone who enters through my sheep pen, through my gate, knows my voice, and I know their names, and they will follow me. And I will lead them to pastures for nurturing and growing. See? I am the gate, Jesus said. Jesus is the gate that will lead to being saved. Saved. Oh, what is that word? If you've grown up in an evangelical tradition, that means you don't go to hell when you die, right? Give your life to Jesus and you don't. No. You know what the word saved means in the Greek, the Koine Greek, in which the language in which the Bible was written in? Sozo. To become whole, to become complete, to become well, to be liberated. It has nothing to do with a heavenly realm or a hell realm. Now, where does that come from? Zoroastrianism, a religious belief around 3,500 years old, in the time of Abraham. It's not a Jewish thing, it's not a Jesus thing. Really? How can that be? It just is. It's not even a Jewish thing to this day. Interestingly enough, Christian traditions and Muslim traditions continue to hold to that heavenly for good people and hell for the bad people. Dante's Inferno, right? Different levels. And it's not even Jewish. I went online to look and see what the Jews think about life after death. They still don't hold to it. They believe that when a person dies, they still go into a realm of memory, realm where they reconnect with family, but there's no sense whatsoever of a place where the bad people go and suffer. Isn't that interesting? So churches who preach that are doing it as robbers and thieves. Why do I say that? Because, you see, it's a form of manipulation. It's a form of bypass. I need to control the masses. And if I can get you to believe that if you follow my rules and my religion, then when you die, you go to heaven. And if you don't follow my rules and my religion, when you die, you go to hell. Now, if you're not very smart people, and those are your choices, where are you going to go? So, it has been used as a tool to manipulate the masses for a very long time. So, good Catholics who obey the good Catholic rules all go to heaven. If you're not a Catholic, then everyone else goes to. If you're a good Lutheran and obey the Lutheran rules, you go to heaven. If you're not a good Lutheran and everybody else goes to hell. If you're a good Baptist and you follow all the Baptist rules, then when you die, you go to. You get the picture? That's got nothing to do with Judaism, and it's got nothing to do with Jesus. Thieves and robbers. So if Jesus indeed is the gate, let's focus on that. Then what does that mean? Well, let me say this. If you want to make millions of dollars in the stock market, who might you study? Warren Buffett, maybe? Read his books. See if you can mentor him. He did pretty well. And he just didn't fall off a truck and start doing it, right? If you want to know what eternal life is, if you want to know what it means to be sozo, if you want to know what it means to be whole, to be complete, to be fulfilled, then who might you study? The gate, Jesus. So let's look at Jesus. You guys are kind of looking at me like now, like, well, I don't really want to look at Jesus. Let's look at Jesus. Oh, can we look at Jesus? Okay. Have I messed you up about the whole heaven and hell Zoroastrianism thing? Or are you thinking and contemplating? Maybe it's a thinking and contemplating. Okay, let's look at Jesus. Let's look at the gate. Anybody who tells you that you can experience the fullness of what it means to be a human being created in the image of God by following a simple prescription is selling you a bill of goods. It takes a lot of work. Have you heard the story about the musician who was going to play a concert at Carnegie Hall and the traffic was bumper to bumper? And so he decided to walk the rest of the way. So he jumps outside the taxi. When he got outside, he looked at all the tall buildings and he got lost. So as he was walking, he saw a guy working on the road. And he asked the guy, "Excuse me, sir, how do I get to Carnegie Hall?" And the guy says, "Practice, practice, practice." Right. Have you ever marveled at how Kevin Harris sings like he does? He just opens his mouth and this wonderful sound comes. Have you ever marveled at that? Guess how Kevin Harris sings like that? Years of what? Practice. Have you ever marveled at how Michael Phelps swims like he swims? Years of what? Practice, practice. Have you ever marveled at how Usain Bolt runs like he does? And we still haven't seen him run his fastest. I marveled at the last Olympics as he's crossing the finish line at the 100 meter and the 200 meter. As he's crossing the finish line, he's looking on each side, and if there's nobody beating him, he pulls up. He's not giving us his fastest yet. How does this man with these long legs run so fast and so fluid? How does he do it? Practice. How does Jesus Christ become Jesus Christ? So connected to his unconscious self, so connected to God, so intuitive to humanity and the world around him. How does he know the things that he knew, and how does he continue to influence the world around him? How did Jesus do it? Practice, practice, practice. Right. How do you fulfill your spiritual self? How do you do it? Practice, practice, practice. All right. So, following a prescriptive, say the sinner's prayer, give your life to Jesus, get baptized, and you're good, is not going to fulfill your spirituality. It's not going to do it. It's going to give you an insurance card to protect you from something that's not there. If you're going to experience fullness of life, you've got to commit yourself every day, becoming conscious of reflection, conscious of the Spirit of God in you, conscious of getting to know yourself better every day, conscious of a child of God, conscious of nurturing your soul, nurturing your spirit, feeding your mind, not just with science, art, literature, everything in this world there is to know. Nurture your brain, make it stronger, make it more diverse. Everything in this world to know it. Broaden your mind. Look at the stars, look at the earth, look at the oceans, everything that there is to know. Broaden who you are as a human creature. Don't you find it interesting? The scribes and the teachers in the temple, not with his knowledge, but with the depth of his questions. Jesus obviously started young. He lived in the crossroads of the world. He had the Silk Road right there. People from Europe coming through, people from Africa coming through in the East, right there in Israel. He obviously started his lessons young. See, Jesus started, he took time to meditate. He took time to reflect. He took time, he walked, he talked, he's taught, he served. Any teachers here? What's one of the benefits of being a teacher? As you're preparing for your class, you what? You learn, right? You serve. When you serve and you give yourself to the world around you, you what? You learn. You experience. To become whole, to become full, is not something that just happens. It takes a lifetime of commitment, of focus, of consciousness. This is what I'm doing every day. It's not a thing that happens in a moment of time. It's something you commit to every day. And I was trying to think of what is a good illustration to help me to make this point. Because right now, I'm not seeing that I'm making it. Last Thursday, when I was sitting at CFE Arena at UCF, and I saw Foster Elizabeth Bullock walking across that platform, hearing her name called and getting her diploma, I felt this joy that I'd never experienced before, you see. What was that joy, parents? Being a what? Being a parent, yay! Thank you. I felt the joy of being a parent. I always thought I would like it. I always wanted to be one. And fortunately, because of Amy and Foster, I got to miss the whole 16 years before. I've enjoyed the last 8. But Foster has allowed me to be her dad. Right? So how many of you in here have been parents or are parents? Okay, so this illustration is going to work pretty well. When that baby, first child, came out of that womb, how many of you knew everything to do? Completely confident. How many of you made absolutely no mistakes? You knew everything to do. No, you woke up each and every day doing your what? Your best. You woke up each and every day conscious of the fact, oh, there's a dependent in the house. You read books before you had the baby, you read books while you had the child, and somehow everything you read still didn't prepare you for what was sitting there in front of you, right? You just gave it your best. How many of you were better parents to that little human being when they were in their 20s than when they were 6 months old? You had experience, right? Some days you failed miserably, other days you were a champion, and most of the time you were somewhere in between. Now, those of you who had more than one child, how many of you were a better parent with child 2, 3, or 4, or 5? Why is that? Because you had practice, practice, practice. That is what I think the spiritual life is about. You see? You wake up every day and you realize, I am a child of God. I have within me all the mysteries of the universe. And it is my job to wake up every day and to consciously connect to all those mysteries. I am the only one who can do that. And I will use mystics, I will use ministers, I will use literature, I will use science, I will use movies, I will use nature, I will use every tool and inspiration around me to connect with this beautiful mystery that lies and lives within me. I will go beyond my 5 senses because they're too limited. I will take time to reflect every day and to see and to hear. I will watch children and see how every little thing, a stick and mud, is a great discovery, right? An ant, a bug, a caterpillar. Watch National Geographic, watch Discovery when they're actually showing something that's discovery related. Explore the world, and you see what I'm saying? And as you're watching this, start making the connections of, the mysteries and the wonders, you see. And consciously connect to how am I, as a human being created in the image of God, you see? And then you spend time in quiet and learn how to meditate. Learn how to meditate. Meditation is your key to connecting to the spiritual. Meditate. Well, I just can't come to meditate. I'm just too busy. What are we doing tonight? You see, yes, that's part of the problem. Learn how. It's a discipline. And the more you do it, like children, the better you get. Learn how. It is a part of, that's the gate. That is the gate. And you must go through that gate to fully discover who you are and what God has in store for you. The other stuff are from thieves and robbers who are stealing the fullness of life from you. Don't buy into that crap. It's toro pupu. Lots of it. Lots of it. It's crap, as the Scottish would say. Only you can discover this. You can be inspired by everything around you, and it's all there, but only you can do this. And you must have a desire to walk through that gate. I am the gate, Jesus says. And the fullness of life, so that you might have it full. What does that mean? If you were watching infomercials through insomnia 20 years ago, you would see this guy come on TV, and he would show you how you could be living life on a yacht with beautiful young babes all around you, playing golf, playing tennis, have 10 mansions, and work 15 hours a week, right? Is that full life? None of you better raise your head or say yes. If you do, you better start dropping some seed money here right now. No. This is what it means to me as I am now entering my 6th decade of life. Today, I'm more clear about who I am. Today, I know my power and my strength. Today, I know how much pain I can endure. And why is that important? Because I'm no longer afraid of it. How many of us don't do things because we're afraid of pain? Right? I would do this, but I'm afraid it will hurt too much. No, I'm not afraid. I don't want it, but I'm not afraid of it. Today, I know that no matter what happens, I have within me the resources to handle it. I'm confident in it. I don't know how I will handle it, but I know that within me I have that confidence. And even when there's chaos around me, I know that there is a peace in me. And how do I know this? Because I have spent a lifetime going in and out of that gate. And now, as I start approaching 60, I cannot wait to see what this next 10 years does for me. And I promise you, it will not be flipping properties. It will be flipping toxic ideas. It will be destroying toxic belief systems. And it will be investing myself in love, in enlightenment, and in the powers of the Spirit that lives in me and the world around me. That's what it means to me to live a full life, to live it abundantly. And that's what it means for me to be saved, sozo, whole, complete, liberated. And this is what I want for you. And this is why I spend so much time talking about it. Because there's so many thieves and robbers out trying to bypass the system, and so many of us are desperate to listen to them. Jesus says, I am the gate. Trust it. Go through that place and hear his voice, because he knows your name and he loves you. And he will not lead you to bad places. He knows your name because you are as much a part of him as he is a part of you. He knows your name. Listen to him as he calls you in and as he takes you out. Dell, would you please come forward?